Hello everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm Dimitri and this is Value Cars Australia, and today is another reaction video to one of my most favorite Australian content creators on YouTube, the self-proclaimed auto expert John Cadogan, who never fails to educate us all, including me, as well as amuse me with his incredibly categoric statements like something is crap, something is, not so crap. John once again succeeds at clickbaiting people into watching this list of ultimate lemons, cars you should never consider buying in Australia. And spoiler alert, I agree with him on a lot of things that he said, and we will talk specifics in this particular reaction video of mine. But at the same time, some of the things, some of the brands, he simply cashes in, continues cashing in on rehashing old, not always accurate, inaccurate information. And it's not like I'm some kind of white knight that gets paid by the Chinese, as opposed to the popular belief of some slightly more dim-witted viewers of my minuscule channel compared to John's channel. I'm simply a consumer of affordable products, and I'm simply not a hypocrite. This is what I stand for. If you had to summarize what I stand for, I hate hypocritical statements. People who criticize Chinese are using iPhones and wear Chinese pants. So shut up. Brand snobs and people who pretend that they're not consuming Chinese products and supporting Chinese should shut up. That is just to save you the time, okay? So John goes into the list of the 54 brands that were selling in Australia last year. Fair enough. Some of them are luxury brands. He throws them away. I respect that. I would do the same. And he starts his list of things to never buy at those brands that are imported by ATECO company into Australia, privately imported, etc., not by the car brands themselves. And among that list is the brand of interest to me because it's an affordable, often value for money in my humble opinion, LDV. I had LDV D90, I've just spoken about MIFA, People Mover, that is arguably not so much value for money, but their G10 cargo van is without a shadow of a doubt a massive value for money for lower budget tradies and just average Joes and Janes out there. John loves to hammer the same old fact of Timothy Rigsby against LDV Australia court case in Queensland that Timothy Rigsby won, to John's joy, because it gives him a chance to continue punching into that one hole and continue punching that one case in front of all of us, that LDV is bad, LDV reacted badly. Yes, they did. I'm not defending them here. Don't delude yourselves again. However, there is a lot being sold by LDV. A lot being sold by LDV, okay? And there is one case that even John can squeeze out and keep telling you about. How is LDV managing to sell for years now, couple of years, 2-3 years, selling these vans and other vehicles in large volumes, and we have only one case of complaint that is of that kind of national value, national magnitude that you can talk about? Explain that to me. Let's pretend that there are a lot of these vehicles, horrible quality, they all rust left and right. Why is there no class action lawsuit? Why is there no one who is trying to cash in on that and go against LDV with dozens, with more than dozens, presumably, of such unhappy customers similar to Timothy Rigsby? Why? LDV acted badly, paid the price for it, suffering right now, continuing to, and I have absolutely no sympathy to them. I'm just being fair here. Yeah, I don't care. LDV doesn't pay me. Be real here, John and others. You continue hammering that one case of someone parking the ute and was unfortunate for it to rust, but you and I don't know what he did with that ute. All I know is that LDV sells heaps, and there is no one else. There are some occasional people who called some customer service and didn't like how they spoke to them. Give me those facts. So that's the first thing, and I know we spent a lot of time talking about LDV. Jeep, very quickly. So John loves punching Jeep and talks about bad quality. Once again, very quickly, I can tell you that I owned a Wrangler in Australia for 3 years. Never had an issue with service, never had an issue with customer service, never had an issue with anything. And sure, you can speculate that if something broke, maybe then I would have had an issue, but I didn't. My wife had a Mini for more than 3 years. For like 5 years she owned a Mini. That's a BMW, that's not a Jeep. So we're jumping here smoothly to another one of those brands that John, even if not in this particular list, he didn't talk about Mini, but he loves to punch BMW and all that group periodically, at least periodically. I can tell you that she loved her Mini, and she would love to have it back if we could afford it, if we could buy one. So, you know, take it with a grain of salt. Jeep is good, Mini is good, in my humble opinion, at least in my experience, okay, and in our experience and stuff. When John talks about Jeep sales being down, and it's because of the quality, Australians finally catching up to Jeep's quality, that is such an empty allegation that is not even funny. I would hammer them with John hand in hand, but not for that. This is BS what he's saying about quality, BS. What is a real deal is the fact that unfortunately for some reason stupid eggheads at Jeep Australia, they decided to start pricing these cars at 80 grand and higher. They have way too expensive. Way too expensive. Yes, I regret selling mine, by the way. So I would have kept mine if I could, okay? But unfortunately, that's why the sales are tanking. They are simply not standing the competition. Simple as that. It's not about the quality. It's about the price, you eggheads. Oh my lord. Okay, what else? I'm not even bothering to talk to you about Renault, Citroen, Fiat, Lotus. My wife had a Fiat 500X, a lovely little SUV, for a short period of time, and she loved it. She just didn't like how it drove and accelerated. Believe it or not, that's what she didn't like. And we, in those times, we both had different jobs, a lot of loose cash, and we could afford basically to take a loss and resell and stuff. So, but other than that, never had an issue with the car. Yes, short-term ownership, I take that. But Fiat, I don't know. I don't know about that. Chery, absolutely hilarious sort of sentiment from John, saying that Chery is a brand owned named after a stripper. That's John's words, not mine. I laughed out loud. I agree with John that the quality is bad, it's creaking, and I am not looking forward to seeing actual data emerging after a year or two about the depreciation numbers, because Chery is going to be tanking it. Chery is going to be right at the bottom. And it's a shame, because my relationship with Chery started as it starts with a lot of other competitor brands for me, because I support competitors. I don't like obnoxious brands that think they own the market, such as Toyota. I'm not a fan of Toyota personally. I have some friends in Toyota. I have a friends in Toyota dealership, I believe so anyway, but I call it for what it is. I don't like how Toyotas are selling themselves and we can just be sitting there in our ivory tower. I don't like it. John, by the way, didn't say a bad word about Toyota in this particular Lemon video, but he bashed them on several occasions before. So I'd say he still would not go against the flood of you Hilux, you drivers, to say that your god of Toyota is doing something wrong, but I think that that's what he's thinking. He's probably also not going to be recommending it among the first lines. He would be going with his Mazdas, Kias, and Hyundais. That's what John would do, okay? Now, Mercedes, Land Rover, all of that kind of stuff. Look, it's out of my price range, out of your price range probably as well. Supplies are bad, attitude is bad. Agree with John, horrible choice. When he talks about Volvo and Polestar owned by Chinese, once again, lay off Chinese for a second. It doesn't matter what your political kind of attitude is and how much you love or hate Chinese, okay? We're leaving politics out of my channel. Don't even freaking get me started. Let's talk facts. Chinese own a lot. They have either fully ownership of the brands, a lot of not just car brands, everything, or they own large parts of it. So shut up if you're saying I'm not supporting Chinese and you, Dmitry, do. You do as well, okay? Chances are you do, okay? Speaking of Volvo and speaking of Polestar that's owned by Chinese right now, John talks about the fact that Polestar is owned, at least in a large amount, by Geely. Geely is a massive car manufacturer in China. That is a good thing. You know why? Because Geely is freaking massive, and Geely is the highest quality Chinese exporting manufacturer of cars in the world, at least to my knowledge. And I'm looking not just at narrow Australian Aussie Bogan feeding kind of view that John is feeding off as well, of his clicking drones that are clicking down his videos, okay? But I also watch Russian videos, I watch other videos, and they have, in Russia, they have a massive presence of Geely. And from people who I trust, who disassemble the freaking cars, okay, they say, Klubny Service, for example, they say on many occasions that Geely is the highest quality like Chinese Volvo truly, in the best sense of the word. So when he mentions Geely and Polestar being owned by Chinese, whenever anyone says, oh, Chinese own it, I'm out. Like, I just roll my eyes. I said enough about this in this video. Sorry if it comes across negative. It's just honest. John doesn't seem to care about saying things like,
happily, my give a fuck tank is on E.
well, why should I care either? This is my attitude as well. So take it or leave it, all right? So it's funny that John mentions GWM on the boundary of, quoting John, shit versus not shit. Not shit is a compliment from John. That's what we're dealing with here, okay? So GWM apparently is on the boundary of not shit. Apparently, Tank is what? I am to assume that it's shit, according to John. Still, I still disagree with him wholeheartedly, even though I critiqued the hell out of Tank 300 EV or HEV, overpriced in my opinion. Horribly. Watch that video, okay? But basically, GWM is there on the boundary of doing something right, something wrong, but selling a lot, by the way. Selling a lot, relatively a lot. Take a look at the freaking list, okay? So anyway, this list ends with basically, according to John, if we believe him, we have only these cars that, according to John, we should even consider driving in Australia. You ready? Zoom in, pause if you like. Mazda, Kia, Hyundai, Mitsubishi, MG, EV, he happens to like, excuse me. Subaru, oh, thank God, I'm driving a Subaru. Isuzu, okay, Ute at the very least, I think he liked it. If I'm not mistaken, correct me if I'm wrong, doesn't matter. Suzuki, Lexus, and on the boundary there, GWM, Australia. That's according to John. Hey, it's a long enough video because I was ranting a long time about LDV, but I really hate when John hammers into one thing that happens to be resonating with his viewers, with his crowd, but it is simply not fair and not true fully. I think that I've covered the main things. I covered my main attitude towards China bashers. I covered my main attitude towards LDV, Jeep, mentions of Chinese ownership of Geely, Chery, and GWM. These are things that I'm bothered by, and these are things that concern me and a lot of my crowd of people. MG, he didn't say much about, other than that MG EV is kind of cool according to him. Okay, okay, good on you, John. And then his usual selection of his preferred suppliers, let's call them, of Korean brands and of some segment of Japanese brands. Fair enough. Enjoy your boring Toyota Corolla that you drive on. Enjoy your Hilux Ute if you waited for it for 15 years and it finally got delivered. Good on you. I am jealous as much as everyone else who had to settle for a GWM Cannon in the meantime for half the price. Okay, so there you go. That's my reaction video to John Cadogan's, Auto Expert John Cadogan's Lemons list. I have two comedians that are my favorite comedians. One of them is Patrice O'Neill, unfortunately late Patrice O'Neill. It was hilarious to listen to him, and I used to love him. So do maybe Google for his Elephant in the Room show and watch it. You will enjoy it. This is also a bonus towards the end of the video if you watch the whole time of this little rant of Dimitri's. And my second favorite comedian of the moment is John Cadogan. I'll talk to you next week about something else, cars related. I promise some disassembly of the vehicles is coming, commentary, translated commentary, and some other car reviews are coming. Goodbye for now. I'll talk to you next time.